Hello, my name is Simone Padur, and this is Car Right, and we are doing some body talk, baby talk, but we're also talking about bodies. So the title of this one is When Old Souls Are New. So Car and I were just talking about, people say, oh, well, so-and-so, they're an old soul. So let's talk a little bit about that, Car. I'm just going to let you loose.
Well, so one of the things that is really interesting is that with babies, we have all these like ways that we talk about them where we are actually hinting to what's true, but we don't actually totally acknowledge it, right? Like when someone says that my baby's an old soul, um, they might think that they're just like making an offhand comment, but what if that's actually true? What if when you have a baby, that baby isn't the blank slate that you think it is? What if that baby actually has, awareness and intelligence and experience and things that you may not, consider that the baby would have? And it happens a lot more than we give it credit for. And I think, like I said, it's funny because people will just, they'll acknowledge it, but they'll acknowledge it kind of in a ha-ha way or in a throwaway way. Like they're saying what actually is. And there's this area in their world of like, but that's probably not true. And there's so much of this like idea of babies, baby spirits of like, could your baby actually come in with life experience? Could it come in with information? Could it come in with, hey, I'm coming to you for X, Y, and Z? Like
Yeah.
what are babies contributing and already aware of and present with before they even physically get here? And how much are you aware of it? And you've just not been willing to be aware of what you're aware of.
Well, I mean, even science talks about like nature versus nurture versus, yeah, I can say that. Nurture versus nature.
Yeah.
So there is, even in the scientific community, there's an awareness that there's something maybe more that's going on here that we're not actually looking at.
Yeah.
And I know from teaching, like even the little tots, they have personalities right from the beginning.
It's really true. And a lot of women, like even before they actually conceive, physically conceive, and begin to grow the baby body, they have a sense of the personality of the being coming to be born. Some of these babies are like, they do have a sense of their baby. And I think a lot of women will disregard it. And then yet later down the road, they look back and go, God, I knew you were coming, like you were just as stubborn way back when, or you were that sweet, like face. And what's really cool and fun for me is empowering women to know that you actually do know that. You're not making that up. It is actually something that you're aware of. It's not, and it is not like woo woo and, spiritual necessarily. It's like,
Yeah.
you're just aware, just like you're aware of, that tree or the things that you interact with on a daily basis. You can still be aware of your baby.
Well, I know two stories that I can think of. One is a woman that really wasn't sure up until like, I don't know, 6 or 7 months that she was even actually pregnant. Like she took pregnancy tests and all kinds of things, and it was really not evident. And then I know somebody else that the moment that sperm hit the egg, like her body was like on red alert saying, okay, is this where you'd like to go? Is this what you'd like to do?
Totally.
So how much of that are you aware of is the being and the body, or is it a communication, or what's going on exactly?
Well, I mean, in some of those, like I actually have had clients that did not know they were pregnant for a really long time. They may have had an inkling and they may have and even their body didn't show they were pregnant for a really long time, and yet they were. And those babies ended up being very shy, very introverted, didn't really want to be seen, we're completely fine hiding behind moms. Like what if that is like the personality of your baby also shows up in the way that you conceive. It also shows up in the way that your body is during your pregnancy and the way that the baby's born. That was one of the things that showed up so much, was that I used to joke like babies birth as their personality. There were some that just like came out and was like, ta-da, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And that was like, the birth was just like, boom, done, and everybody was like that. And that was complete. Like you would run into them 5 years later and the mom can't keep up with the kid. Like they're just like all over the place. Then you would have these like, first, you never thought the baby was going to actually come out. It was just these like slow, like, is this baby coming? And like, again, like you run into him 5 years later and the mom's like, oh my God, can you just hurry up? Let's go. We needed to leave 10 minutes ago. And the kid's like, woo. And it's one of the things that I think was hard for me as a doula, to be aware of, hey, this baby actually requires a different space. And there isn't always the room for that because of how we are around the physicalness of birth. But when it's like allowed and things can roll out the way they need to, there is a lot of ways in which a baby's personality completely influenced how they birth themselves. Because babies are just as involved in the physical way they are born as the mom's body. We focus on the mom's body, but they have to make all the moves. And they are way more involved in it than a lot of people even realize. And I think a lot of women even realize it's just not something, nobody talks about it, which is always amazing to me. But it's true. Like 15 years, I don't know, I've been to hundreds and hundreds of births. And that was a very common theme.
Wow, that's so cool.